Welcome to T4G Sports. Today we got an exciting one for you. If you're an Auburn fan, you should get excited. If you're a Bama fan, it's not time to panic, but there's definitely change occurring that needs to be talked about. Now, without further ado, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, click the notification bell, and don't just play the game, own the game. Let's light it up. So last year, we had a video about there was an anomaly happening with Auburn and Alabama. Okay, and we raised the red flag, and we said that there's something happening here, and people might want to pay attention to this. Okay, so we just want to show you guys the blueprint here for Nick Saban and what Nick Saban has done. Okay, so the reason you want to land your in-state players is what? What do you think it is? Why do you want to land, especially if you're like an Alabama school, Ohio State, Georgia? Like, why do you want to land those in-state players? Most people say, well, that's where the talent is. Well, the ease, okay, if you could go into the state of Alabama and you can land the five-star players, yeah, Auburn was up here, but you can land these players and you could do it quick and in a hurry because they're in-state players and they already wanted to play for you, and it's easier to recruit these guys in general terms. Not always the case, but it usually takes less time to get these players, okay, or it should. And then you could turn around and be like Saban and go, okay, hey, I already got my in-state players. Now I'm going and recruiting in Texas, Georgia, Florida, you know, wherever the hot spot is at that moment. And that's what made Nick Saban Nick Saban. Okay, he would land his in-state players, and then he would go into Georgia, and he would just give them hell. He would go into Florida, give them hell. I mean, even California at times, he'd go and give them hell. But he liked to stay in the South. That was something that was a blueprint of his. He had his fingerprints all over it. But you see 2021, you know, Auburn did well. I mean, they didn't do too bad, but Nick Saban lands the two guys here, and then 2021, this is the class that he had the number one ranking. The reason he didn't absolutely obliterate this state is because he went and got five-star guys elsewhere. He got number one guys in the nation across the country, so he really just chose what he wanted, and then he basically just left and said, all right, I'm going to go elsewhere, and that's what just made Nick Saban so dangerous. And you look at 2022, when he said, I wanted to take this state, well, he did. I mean, Auburn was like, yeah, can you leave us some dudes? Like, that was basically it. Auburn just really didn't have their fingerprints on it. Let's go 2023. I hate how I have to keep going through it. You can see again, like, yeah, Georgia came in, Florida, Clemson, they came and fought. Auburn came out there a little bit, but still Alabama was like, yeah, I'm taking the state. And that's what he did. He just took the state. 2024, this is where we came out with the video and we said there's an anomaly happening here. Okay, you go to the state of Alabama, and you can see here, this is where it was like, okay, something's going on here. I mean, Auburn comes in, NIL's kicking off, and Nick Saban he wasn't quite as dangerous as he was in the state of Alabama that he needed to be, and he wasn't as dangerous elsewhere. Yes, he was still doing great in his recruiting, there's no question, but you saw a difference. Okay, you wouldn't see as many five-star guys elsewhere. You saw that he was kind of struggling, like they were losing some key battles. He was still doing really good, but at the same point in time, he was still the most dangerous, but he wasn't as dangerous as he was before. In the very early times of NIL and prior to NIL, that's when Nick Saban was just untouchable. I mean, when he came in and was even fighting Ohio State and Georgia, Ohio State and Georgia took a back seat to him, and they still fought him, and sometimes they would win those battles, but they weren't winning the war. And so 2024 kicks off, and it was like, okay, Auburn's making some moves here, and then Saban retires, and then you got Kalen DeBoer. And Kalen DeBoer is going, I'm getting my ass kicked. I mean, Jesus, you got roasted. And we were sounding the red flag, sounding the alarm last year and saying, watch out, there's an anomaly occurring. And it just was not good. It was not good for Alabama. And again, just to show you in a different style of way, let's go 2021 here. You could see Florida, Texas, Alabama. And this is Nick Saban here. Okay, so you could see, yes, he did only get 5 guys. He was not the number one state, but look at the number one guys. Number one, number two, number one, number one, number 2, number 2, number 3. I mean, just ridiculous. And this is an Alabama guy. This is an Alabama guy. But now you know why when I was showing you the 2021 where he got the 2 5-stars and then elsewhere. Look at what he did. Florida, Texas, Florida. I mean, look at the state. He absolutely roasted these 2 states. I mean, just roasted them. Florida, he just stole. He was like, all the top guys in Florida, I'm going to steal. So now you know why that he went to the state of Florida so heavily and Alabama wasn't the number 1. And that's the whole key, especially of a school like Alabama, is you want to get the in-state players, the really good guys, get them easy, and then you could turn it on and be like, I'm going to go get Dallas Turner. I'm going to go get J.C. Latham. I'm going to go get basically whoever the hell I want to get, and you really can't stop me. Okay, and then you see 2022 occur. Let's go over that. And you can see Alabama, Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, and then the rest. Like, it's just one-offs after that. And you still had the top 2 class, 2023. You'll see where he went here whenever it loads. Alabama, heavy in the state of Alabama. And then he just kind of went elsewhere throughout the country. 2024, you could see 11 in Alabama. He really went home. Okay, he said, I'm going home. I'm taking it as much as I can. And there was still an anomaly here because you could see the difference. Heavy, heavy Alabama, right? It was good, but in the same point in time, then it was Cali, Florida, Texas. Like, it was just a different, you could tell because he wasn't absolutely dominating the state of Alabama. Okay, he wasn't just crushing it out of the park compared to what he did before. He still did really good. Obviously, he did really good. But you could see, like, look at the top guys. So Alabama, Cali, Florida, Arizona, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Alabama. Like, it just wasn't as dangerous. And so you could see that there was still more talent, even though there was 11. There was still more talent that was top talent that he would normally get that he just didn't get. Okay, 2025 kicks off. This is Kalen DeBoer, California. 2 in Alabama. Like, this is a drastic change. Okay, drastic change from the year prior. And this is where it's like, yeah, you still got really good guys. There's no question. You got really good guys, but you just were not crushing the state of Alabama. And this is an anomaly. And now if we go to 2026, and let's go to the state of Alabama here in 2026. Okay, let's see how he's faring right at this moment in time. Okay, so Auburn's taking the lead on Morgan right now. They're looking good right here for the edge guy, Jones. They already landed this guy. Alabama landed that guy. You could see Auburn. Auburn's getting their fingerprints all over this. They're just flat out getting their fingerprints all over this. Not a great sign, in my opinion. We'll go to the transfer portal as well. They're ranked 21st in the country. And you could see here that, yeah, they're landing some dudes. There's no question. They're getting some guys. They're not getting as many guys from the South. I mean, they're getting a couple of guys, yeah, but you're looking at some of their top guys too. CU, Utah, that's not bad. But then you also see that they're losing dudes as well. I mean, that's the problem that you're looking at here is what Nick Saban would do is he would hit such drastic numbers because his transfer portal rate was pretty big, even Nick Saban himself. But what Nick Saban just didn't do as much, he didn't lose a Caleb Downs. Okay, he didn't lose a Justice Haynes. And that's what you're seeing now. Justice Haynes goes to the Big Ten. Okay, so you're seeing a massive amount of migration here when it comes to the players. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is a little bit rough to see if you're an Alabama fan. Now, I think Kalen DeBoer is a top 5, top 8 coach in the country. No question about it. I think he's great. But I think what Kalen DeBoer, the way he's going to win a natty with Alabama is if you turn around and you start being competitive with Auburn in the state of Alabama, and then you turn around and you could go get your Cali guys. You know, you could go use your fingerprint that you're known for and go to the West Coast and land those players in the West Coast while getting the easy players in your own backyard. But if you don't have a backyard and Auburn's consuming your backyard, Auburn's creeping. Okay, these boys are creeping here. And the problem that you're going to face is that you can't just worry about Auburn in your own backyard, because if Auburn starts landing all the guys and stealing your backyard and making it their backyard, then what's stopping Auburn from then going into the area that you're going into now, making it a whole nother level of difficult on you? What happens when USC and UCLA start spending more money with the TV revenue sharing? And then what? What if Kalen DeBoer is not doing as successful, right? Are you going to fire him and pay off his contract? And then who are you going to hire that's going to do any better? Because like the AD has already sounded the alarm to for Alabama, is that we need money to be competitive. You should donate to our NIL. That's basically what he came out and said. And so I think Kalen DeBoer really this year, he needs to show that he can produce a good team, a very solid team. And then from there, maybe start to change the concept of like, hey, you should stay at Alabama. Maybe you get Nick Saban involved a little bit. I don't exactly know how. I don't exactly know what the answer is. But I would be doing everything I can to reclaim the state, because you cannot – I don't think it's going to be successful if you average 2 to 3 players from the state of Alabama and you're Alabama and they're not even the best players, okay? Because it'd be different if you're getting the top 3 players in the state of Alabama if you're only getting 3 and they're all 5 stars, and then you're turning around and getting all the top guys from California. That'd be a completely different ballgame. But he's not doing that. So, yeah, if you're Kalen DeBoer, I really think that he's a good coach, but I think he's up against a rock and a hard place at this moment in time. And he's fighting. He is, and he's a great coach. He could do it. He could do it. It wouldn't shock me if he turns this around. But I think if he does turn this around, I'm going to be honest, this should turn into a documentary. It really should. It should turn into a documentary, because seeing what I'm seeing here, you're not going to be able to go and find in history where there's a lot of teams that have done that same thing. I mean, you look at Ohio State, you look at Georgia, a lot of them, they really, Ohio State's a little bit different. I mean, Ohio State doesn't quite have the same pipeline, but look at what they're doing here. I mean, 2021, look at this class. This is the class that won them the Natty. These are all the players, like a lot of these players won them the Natty and came back. And you'll see how Mecca Ibuka, Donovan Jackson, Donnie Jackson, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, Quinn Ewers, the guy that they ended up beating to win the Natty. Kyle McCord, who left. But there's a lot of guys in this that were major key parts to winning the Natty. But you can see Ohio and then elsewhere. And then, same thing, 2022, you go in here, Ohio. I mean, that's really Ohio. Like, that's just what they've been doing. Ohio again, 2024, and then they go and land the best of other areas. So Ohio State's doing that. Georgia's doing that. You're looking at some of these key top ones. They're going into their backyard. I mean, even Texas. Let's go over Texas here. Texas 15. I mean, Texas is going directly in their backyard. I mean, they're because then it makes it easier when they go get a Missouri guy, Ryan Wingo. Or they go and get Brandon Baker from California. I mean, it makes life a lot easier. Okay, so there's a recipe here, and right now Kalen DeBoer is struggling with the ingredients. So we'll see what happens. I'm pulling for him because I don't want to see Kalen. I think he's a great coach, and I don't want to see him get too much grief, because I think Alabama, the program itself, is in a tough spot. It has nothing to do necessarily with Kalen DeBoer. I think the program itself, they don't have the NIL. They just don't have some of the things that some of these other schools have that, I mean, Texas was like number 2 in NIL. They could do what they want for the most part. So Georgia's up there as well. Ohio State's up there. They're top 5 in NIL. Oregon's top 5 in NIL. So he still did really good for not being top 5 in NIL, but how long can you continue that? I don't know. But, let us know what you guys think down below.